What is up, guys? And Mikey31 here. This is a Madden 18 game, and this is a Madden 18 online CFM game, actually. Texans against the Titans using the Panthers playbook on offense, Eagles playbook on defense. And we are nearing the start of Championship Sunday. Conference Championship weekend, the last normal football weekend of the year before the Super Bowl, takes center stage. And really, I'm really looking forward to these two games. I really am. I'm looking forward to these games with great anticipation. I think there's a lot of interesting stuff with both of them. Jags and the Pats and the Vikings versus the Eagles. Let's recap a little bit with how we got here. We'll start on the AFC side, and the Pats affair was pretty straightforward. They played the Titans, and the Titans started out pretty well. They drove right down the field their opening possession, opening it up very nicely and scoring on just a beautiful pass from Mariota to Chris Davis. As good a pass and as good a drive as you will ever see. But they couldn't sustain it. The Pats gradually put the vice grip on them offensively. The Pats do what the Pats do every week with everyone who they play. They go into the game super focused on taking away what you do well and making you play left-handed. They really try to take away whether if it's a receiver, your best receiver, or if you're a running-heavy team, take away the run, forcing this into something that you're not comfortable with. So what you saw was a heavy dose of ganging up on the running game and a heavy dose of spying Mariota, bracketing Delanie Walker. They're not really afraid of the receivers that Tennessee has on the outside, and that's a big problem for them. Actually, they got to develop a receiver or two that can scare somebody, anybody. When your back's being held at 2 yards per carry, Eric Decker and Rashard Matthews, they ain't gonna cut it. Chris Davis looks like he has a shot to come on, but he's a young developing player. But either way, they have to work on and focus on being a lot more diverse on offense, a lot more creative. And all we know right now is that it won't be Mike Mularkey and company doing it. They announced that they're going to hire Mike Vrabel, and we'll have to see what Vrabel does as far as hiring an offensive coordinator that has a clue. It's time to free Marcus and let him rip. I mean, my God. They're wasting his talent, and it makes no sense. No sense whatsoever. So, that was how the Pats got through that game. Now, on to Jacksonville and the Steelers. And here we have our first clown suit nominee of the week, which goes to basically the entire Pittsburgh Steelers coaching staff. First of all, Mike Tomlin is not going to get fired. They threw Todd Haley under the bus, obviously, but Tomlin, for the time being, isn't going anywhere. He wins too much in the regular season. Ownership likes him, so unless they could just completely fall off a cliff, he's going to be the coach for the foreseeable future. But if you're a Steelers fan, you got to be wondering about some things. The knock that I have on Tomlin is that I think he runs too loose of a ship. You have too many instances throughout a season with that team where they play down to who they're playing, where they don't look focused, where they have really weird game plans. Big Ben gets sloppy with the ball. Antonio Brown acts weird. Le'Veon Bell acts weird. Martavius Bryant, God knows where his head is at. Mike Mitchell constantly blows coverages. Artie Burns constantly blows coverages. There's just a feeling I get with that team that attention to detail isn't always there. The way they approached that Jags game was absurd. They approached that game as if the regular season matchup with the Jags didn't occur. They took such a cavalier, arrogant approach to that game and proceeded to just repeat all the mistakes they made from that matchup. They're rolling out an empty for 5 straight plays and going 3 and out and turning the ball over. They're trying to run toss sweeps. For the love of God, will people stop trying to attack Jacksonville wide? That's where the Jags live. That's how they're built. The way you attack the Jags is over the middle. You force Gibson, Church, and Puz to play in space. You make them have to get Puz off the field. And then you attack them If you're going to run the ball, you attack them in the interior. You make Marcel Darius have to fight off blocks all game. You make Malik Jackson have to fight off blocks all game. They got Darius for a song from the Bills for that purpose alone, really, because Malik Jackson, he's just not the stoutest guy on earth in that role. But no, that apparently makes too much sense. But despite all of that, you know, Ben, Brown, and Bell are so good, they still rang up 40 some odd points anyway. And defensively, they were a sieve. They've been a sieve since Shazier went down. Shazier is one of the most important people in the league for a given defensive unit. Pittsburgh, on a per-play basis, when you take Shazier off the field, they're toward the bottom as far as most yards per play given up. So when you got a guy like that missing, it's going to compromise what you do. And I get that you are what you are. Pittsburgh's a zone-heavy team. They don't blitz a lot. But when you're missing a piece like that, it's going to force you to change things, or it should force you. It has to force you to change things, because you're no longer the same defense when he's not on the field. But there you go, with Mitchell and Burns making the same coverage mistakes over and over again, and Fournette running through the line, untouched, 4 or 5 yards down the field. Pittsburgh just drives you completely nuts. They really do. So that game, Pittsburgh lost that game before the ball's even kicked off. I mean, their entire approach to that game was just absurd. So yeah, clown suit for the entire coaching staff, as well as for the Falcons. I don't know how you bring Steve Sarkisian back to run the offense, but apparently they are. That last possession was a microcosm of the Falcons season. They wasted down trying to do a shuffle screen, and they put the cherry on top of the debacle by rolling Matt Ryan out on a short field with Julio Jones running an out route to the boundary with a damn fullback dragging across the field. And of course, Matt Ryan, the defense isn't going to, respect him as a pass threat on the rollout. So of course, a heavily contested throw to Julio Jones, incomplete, ball game. Dan Quinn as a head coach is as poor a coach when it comes to recognizing a game situation and the general flow of a game as any coach you'll find. It's like he's completely detached from what his assistants are doing. It's really, really, really weird. I think Falcons fans are going to be haunted by that Super Bowl collapse for years to come, because windows stay open for only so long in the NFL. You have maybe a 2, 3, 4-year window before you end up like Seattle and your roster starts to fall apart. Seattle at least cashed one in. Should have had 2, but at least got the 1. So it's not as painful when the collapse of your roster starts. So anyway, Vikings and the Saints. I'm happy for the Vikings. I'm happy for Case Keenum. I'm happy for that fan base. Drew Brees in that game showed why he's Drew Brees. The man just effortlessly leads the team down the field for what should have been the game-winning field goal. They had the game won, but the football gods intervened. And I feel bad for Marcus Williams. I really do. Rookie had a good year, but that play is his career for the time being. That is all anyone is going to remember until he becomes a 5-time All-Pro. And that brings us to our matchups for this week. In the first game, Jags and the Pats. And the conventional wisdom says you bring Blake Bortles into a game in Foxborough against the Pats, it's going to be an issue, and I don't disagree with that. But also on the other side of the coin, you have a defense in Jacksonville that's, if you're going to design a defense to defend the Pats, that's as good of blueprint as you can have. The ability to rush the passer with 4 without having to blitz, play tight man coverage on the outside, and athletic linebackers that can cover backs and tight ends. I just don't think it's going to be enough. No receiver on the Jags scares anybody, and they're going to make Blake win the game. And they're going to make him do it from the pocket. You're not going to see Blake be able to get away with pulling the ball down and running when he's unsure about what he's seeing. The Pats had Marcus Mariota running into spies all day long, and you're going to see the same treatment with Blake when he tries to do that. You'll see a healthy dose of man 1, 8 in the box, because again, the receivers don't scare anybody, and a lot of quarters and Tampa 2 coverage. with a dropper in the hole to keep Blake in the pocket. That's what you're going to get. As far as the Eagles and the Vikings are concerned, I think Nick Foles is going to have some issues. I think the Vikings have the best zone blitz package in the entire league. The Eagles have done a good job of implementing the Chip Kelly stuff that Foles ran really well. The last time it was with the Eagles, but I think the Vikes are just too good on all levels of their defense: defensive line, linebacker, secondary. The Eagles' D is no slouch either, especially along the defensive line, and they've played much better on the back end as well now that their corners are all healthy. But I think the Vikings are just a little bit better and a little bit more diverse with how they're going to be able to approach the game on offense. So I think we're going to get a Pats and a Vikings Super Bowl. So love to hear your guys' thoughts. Hope you guys enjoyed. I will talk to y'all later. Peace.